All right, let's do it now. My man in the back, he's the ají to my empanada. He is so many things in my life. I can't see him now. There he is. We don't have much time, so let's burn through these, dog. What do you got?
We don't. Let's start with, TJ Dillashaws fighting Cejudo this weekend, so let's get right into it.
All right, let's do it.
Hey, Luke, it's Bryce calling from Coast MMA. I'm sure you've been following all the social media that's been going over the last 2 weeks about TJ Dillashaw and his weight cut. The man looks absolutely bone dry. He looks like my grandmother's roast beef, not an ounce of fat on him. Where is TJ Dillashaw going to cut the weight from, and are you concerned that he might not actually be able to make weight this weekend? All right, boys, cheers.
Yeah, I'm not one of these guys who doesn't think I don't think he's going to miss weight. I suspect as a pro he'll make it. But Smoogie on Twitter said he looked like The Machinist. You ever seen the movie The Machinist?
With Christian Bale.
Yeah, that's
Great
about
actor, by the way.
I gotta say, I'm willing to see this process out because the train's left the station anyway. But if there is any hint of performance drop off, and I suspect there will be come fight time, then this is the last time we need to do this.
Yeah. Look, knock on wood, I wish TJ Dillashaw the best. I hope he makes weight, but, I have my doubts. I am one of those guys, as you mentioned. The UFC did book Joseph Benavidez to fight on that card in a flyweight matchup. You got your backup right there. So that right there just sends me signals that maybe, they're not too confident, and, that makes me not too confident on him. But, hopefully he does make the weight because I really want to see that fight. But, man, he is looking very dried and
not optimal.
Yeah, not optimal at all. So hopefully he makes it, and he makes it safely as well. That's the big part.
Next.
Yeah. UFC on ESPN.
Hey, listen, Danny, this is Sean from Chicago, calling in, wondering about the new ESPN deal. What do you guys think is the biggest key for this ESPN UFC deal to be successful? I think the biggest thing for them is keeping title fights on ESPN. We obviously saw them start off the Fox deal with the Kane JDS fight, I believe, and now they're starting it off with the Cejudo Dillashaw fight. I think at least having a title fight a year would be huge for this deal, keeping the UFC live and invigorated on ESPN. Thanks.
So what's the key here to being on ESPN? What should the UFC do different?
So all those things are talking about, like they have what they've been doing for Lomachenko, right? He comes on after the Heisman presentation. So you got a big audience that leads right into it. I think that's great. Continuous visibility with programming, that's great. Here's what I'm going to say, something that they're not talking about here. I think that the other news shows and the other talk shows and Sports Center just need to make it a constant presence. Let's not worry so much about the broadcast of the events. I think they've got that on lock. What I want to see is talk in rotation in the ESPN universe.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Also, I think something important, since, this is more of a sports audience rather than, Fox Sports, right? And, everybody that's watching ESPN is used to sort of an order, right? It's order with whether it's football, whatever it is, I think by the UFC not following too much their rankings and not really following the order that we're used to seeing, I think that causes confusion in the fan base, and it makes it a hard sport to follow sometimes, because you're like, wait, but I thought this guy was next, but then this guy's getting a title shot. So I think something key to cater to that, like more of a sports audience, is, honor the rankings and sort of have an order and make it easier for fans to follow.
Bro, they're not going to do that. I mean, you're right, but they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Boy can dream.
Yeah. Yeah, why not? So let's talk about your favorite boxing fantasy matchup.
All right. Oh, good Lord.
Hey, guys. Corey out of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So I don't have so much of a question as I do a prediction. And my prediction is I believe we're going to see Conor McGregor face Malignaggi.
Malignaggi.
The UFC's first box event later this year. I base that on the new rumor that's going around that Conor is in negotiations for a boxing match next, and that Conor recently posted that video between him and Paulie. Anyhow, let me know your thoughts. Thanks. Love the show, guys.
First of all, I wouldn't mind seeing this at all, and I could have done a 180 on this.
Yeah.
It's not that I need to see it. I don't want to see it. I'm not requesting it in that sense, but
I thought that was your favorite boxing.
Here's the thing. Before I used to hate it, but here's the point I'm making now. I don't know what Conor's commitment level is to MMA. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not saying it is good. I'm saying it's unclear to me.
Yeah.
Exactly. And his coach has made some interesting comments that, again, I don't want to read too much into it, but there does appear to be some kind of disconnect there, whatever that is. Not saying it's not reparable. Again, I'm not making too many claims other than I'm saying I'm pretty sure he's not 100% all in. I think that's probably fair to say. And if he goes and he's not part of the title picture, then I don't really care anymore. I mean, I want to see him fight in MMA, don't get me wrong, but if he doesn't want to, I don't want to force him. You want to go fight Paulie and make a bunch of money? Fine.
Yeah.
Here's the only thing I don't really know. It doesn't really benefit him to fight Paulie unless he's certain he's going to whoop him, which folks probably think he will. But if you lose to Paulie Malignaggi, bro, that would be devastating for him.
Yeah, because it's not like losing to Mayweather, the GOAT.
Yeah, who cares?
You're losing to a retired fighter, and I'm not throwing shade to Paulie.
But he's retired.
Yeah,
he was a good boxer in his day.
He's a good boxer, yeah.
But he's retired.
Hey, but I'm down for that fight, and I've been down for like a while. I remember when like the whole Mayweather McGregor buildup, and I was like, I told you guys, I think I said on the beat, I'm like, yo, I'm down for Conor versus Paulie, and you guys roasted me for it.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I think it'd be an entertaining thing, an entertaining lead up, and I actually think it would be a better fight than the Mayweather one. Don't you think?
It'd be more competitive.
Yeah,
for sure.
So yeah, now let's talk about Jon Jones.
Hi, this is Adrian from Stockholm, Sweden. Jon Jones' post-fight drug test came back negative. So I've heard people interpret these results as a proof of his innocence or a source of closure on the UFC 232 mess. I find these clean results confusing at best. The main argument from the UFC and Jon Jones for why he should be eligible to fight were that the substances found in his body were remnants from previous intake, and that these substances could linger in his body for years, if not forever.
Correct.
Now, all of a sudden, no picograms, no nothing.
Right.
Wouldn't it have been more reassuring if the test actually came back positive?
No.
Doesn't this debunk their whole argumentation?
No.
What's your view on this?
Okay. So,
right.
so this is...
Hold on 1 second. I'm going to get... This is all you. I'm getting Henry right.
All right. Well, we can come back to this depending on how the interview goes.
Yep.
All right. Very quickly, the answer to that is whenever he gets tested, they test for a bunch of different metabolites. Short-term, medium-term, and long-term, right? So if only the long-term ones are showing up in these short windows, it must mean it's some kind of remnant. At least that's the theory. The reason why it wouldn't be confusing if it showed up this time is because it doesn't uniformly shows up. If you look at all the previous test results, sometimes it's there in little amounts, sometimes slightly more amounts, sometimes not at all. In fact, most of the time, not at all. And they believe it's this pulsing effect. So no, it wouldn't be, according to their own theory, uniform that it would be there. It might come back, and that might make things kind of complicated. But a better scenario, a clearer scenario, is no turinabol, not turinabol at times. Here's what I would say, though. They don't really know. They don't really have a strong understanding of oral turinabol. I have made this point about 1 million times about anti-doping authorities. There are some aspects of the science in which they are fairly ironclad, well-tested, and well-documented. There are a ton where there is not, and that's a particular true statement as we deal with excretion windows, whether it's meldonium, marijuana, or now oral turinabol, and that is not the only list. They simply don't know. They simply don't know. I'm super prepared, I see. I can't hear you. They cannot hear you. Turn your mic on.
There we go. Can you hear me now? I'm always prepared.
Did you hear how motivated he was?
Yeah.
Bro, when was the last time you heard him that motivated? I've seen him on Fight Weeks and he had cotton mouth and everything.
Yeah.
Not this time. He looked great. Or sounded great anyway.
Yeah, no, he's super motivated, and I think he knows, like, the flyweight division, I think, a lot of people saying it's going to go away, but I think the future is uncertain on that, depending on what happens on Saturday night.
I think they feel like they got pushed, and now they're pushing back.
Yeah. I loved Joe B's bit where he gets on the mic and he does like the Wolf of Wall Street thing, like, it's not going anywhere. And Henry seems to have that same attitude. Like, I'm fighting for my division. Like, this division's staying, All
right.
It ain't going anywhere.
I got to get uptown because I have more work to do. So let's knock out a few more of these if we can, please. And you can stitch this together for the YouTube vid at the end, right?
Okay. Yeah,
right,
for sure.
Great.
So you answered the Jon Jones stuff, right?
I did, yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about the Nate and Khabib beef.
Okay. Oh, Lord.
What's going on, boys? It's Ricardo from Toronto. So we recently just seen Nate Diaz and Khabib going back and forth on Twitter, sort of reigniting their beef. Do you think we ever see that fight? And do you think Nate has the tools to neutralize Khabib's ground game and give him a hard time? Thanks, guys. Love the show.
I don't think we ever see that fight, and I have a strong respect for Nate Diaz's guard, but I don't think it's enough to submit Khabib Nurmagomedov. I think he has super elite submission defense and just doesn't put himself in vulnerable positions very often.
Yeah, and we've already seen that type of fight with Rory, even Benson Henderson.
He was injured against Dos Anjos, but the point stands, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen those fights, so we would know how that go, but they have, besides that, they have everything. I mean, I forgot about that they were in a brawl with the whole team. I think it was at a PFL event or something.
Yeah.
Like videos were surfacing around.
Bro, Nate Diaz gets in these fights at
Dude,
jiu-jitsu
yeah,
events.
yeah.
My man keeps it real in the stands.
Dude, Nate Diaz is real after. Yeah.
He will run up on you, son.
Would you say he's a better fighter in the street than in the octagon?
I'd say he's probably a better fighter in the street than any of them. Because, dude, he'll knuckle up early. Like, he doesn't, it's not a challenge for him, you know?
No, yeah. He goes, right from the start.
Dude, you gotta love Nate Diaz.
Yeah. The build-up would be fun.
Oh, it'd be
amazing.
It'd
be amazing. Too bad it probably won't
But the
happen,
Twitter
but-
stuff, man, I gotta be honest, I just don't get anything out of it anymore. I really don't.
Really?
And I mean, I know everyone else
I still
does.
like Nate Diaz's tweet.
I saw the traffic over the weekend. People go crazy for it. I get it. I'm not talking anyone out of it. I'm just saying for me.
Look at Debbie Downer.
I know. I'm a loser. I suck.
All right, let's talk about prospects, man. We just Gordon Ryan was on, so
Dude, I cannot wait for him to get in MMA. People
That's
have
gonna be fun.
no
That's
idea
gonna be
what's
fun.
about to hit him.
Yeah, and he's a big dude, man.
Yeah, he's not small.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, Luke. Hey, Danny. This is Chuck calling from Asbury Park, New Jersey. And my question is,
Jersey,
who do you consider to be the better prospect right now? Aaron Pico or Gary Tonin?
Who?
Love the show, guys, and keep up the good work.
Sorry, Aaron Pico or who?
Aaron Pico or Gary Tonin?
Ooh.
That's a tough one. I was screening this.
I'd say Aaron Pico is further along.
Yeah, and he's younger too,
he's
right?
Younger.
Yeah, Pico's younger than me. He's like 21 or 20, something like that. He's like 21.
Tonin's still very young too.
Tonin's like 26 or 27. He's about my age.
Yeah. I'd probably say Pico, but at this stage, as I mentioned with Henry Cejudo, like you look at all those stats that TJ Dillashaw has, and they're amazing. He's earned all of them through incredible accomplishment. But I also think he's had more time to develop his game into the mature stage that it's in. And I think Henry Cejudo has sort of more recently hit that. So he hasn't compiled, I think, either his best victories or his best efforts yet, either statistically or otherwise. And so, who's the better prospect between Pico and Tonin? They're so early in their development. It's very hard to say.
Yeah. They're both great. That's the real answer. We got time for one more?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so what do you want? Diaz brothers in 2019.
What do the fans want? The fans are probably going to want Diaz, I'm guessing.
Right.
Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll find out on Twitter.
Yeah, we'll get murdered anyway.
Phoenix, Arizona. Question is Nate Diaz. Do you see him coming back in 2019 or retiring? Same goes for Nick. Thank you so much for the question. Have a good one.
I feel like we go through this every single year.
Yeah, every year. Well, no, it used to be every 6 weeks. Now it's like every 6 months. If I had to bet, if I was a betting man in the ESPN era, they're going to want Diaz back. I just have a strong feeling that that's going to happen. Both Diaz's. I think it's very likely Nate Diaz fights in 2019. Nick Diaz, I couldn't tell you. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, we know now that Diaz is willing to come back for the right fight. And, that was Dustin Poirier, and then, Poirier got injured, but he was down to scrap. He was ready. So, I think he's just waiting for the perfect opportunity, and I think the UFC will accommodate that perfect opportunity, and we'll give him a fight.
And also understand, you have to realize, there is one guy around Nick Diaz who reps him. His name is Matt. I won't say his last name, but he's super smart, awesome guy. Diaz has some other people around him that are literal morons. Nate's manager is a guy who is brilliant, like super brilliant. I think he's his only MMA fighter that he manages is that guy.
Yeah.
So these guys, in particular, Nate just has a really good handler. I just feel like it's time to get back in there. It's time to get, not just another paycheck, but there's still more left in them competitively, and if they can get, and they do get good advice, they can make it happen. But Nick, I'm not saying he won't come back in. I don't know, but I would love to see him back. I just don't know. But with Nate, I think very likely he'll come back.
Yeah.
Let's do one more of this, and then I gotta race uptown like I have. My heels are on fire.
All right. Let's talk about injuries.
Let's do. You saved the best question for last
Luke.
again.
This is
always.
David calling from Toronto, Canada. Just wondering, who do you think lost more momentum if you had to pick one guy? So no sitting on the fence. In the prime of their careers, injuries derailed both Cain Velasquez and Dominic Cruz. But which one would you say was hurt most by their injuries that derailed their careers in the period of their prime? Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Jesus, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
Man, that is a great question. Damn. Look, they got me on that one. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with Cain because I believe that Cain Velasquez. That's right. I believe that Dominic Cruz proved, and I think in my books he's the best bantamweight ever. TJ Dillashaw, has
He's on his way. He's on his way
to rewrite that. But as of now, I think Dominic Cruz is the best bantamweight ever.
Okay.
I don't think Cain Velasquez was able to achieve that clearly at heavyweight. I mean, there's some people that believe he is, but it's not as clear cut as 135.
Man, it's tough though because Cain's coming back and could maybe write a new chapter, and poor Dominic Cruz just had another injury. So it's like up to this point, you might be right, but when it's all said and done, maybe not. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But it's close. That's a great question, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, the book is not written on Dominic Cruz just yet.
No, I don't want to bury him, but I'm saying he
that
just
man
is going to be out another year. It's like,
But he's so good that, dude, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he comes back and starts shredding it.
Yeah. He was ahead of his time, which is which is why the time off doesn't hurt him as badly.
Right, yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'm sorry we had to stitch things together again, but you know how it goes, bro. We have to work on the fly here with what we've got.
Yeah. We got a bunch of switches last minute.
What we dude, Gordon Ryan, I'm so pumped for that. I cannot even tell you. That'll be February 22nd on UFC Fight Pass, and of course, this weekend's event, Henry Cejudo, you can catch him on ESPN.